welcome you all to our talk. Today's talk and performance with our current residents from the Ukraine, Oleksandr Sirous and Dmytro Tentiuk, who are part of the Kyiv-based media art collective PHOTINUS. And Alex, and on his invitation, Dima, are, as I said, currently residents at the ZKM through the Goethe Institute's matching portal program, which was set up by the German government to host and support Ukrainian artists in Germany. And since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, we, with this funding, but also through the ZKM's budget, we could host several artists from the Ukraine, but also dissident Russian artists at ZKM, and to allow and support their important work here now in Germany. Alex and Dima will talk today about the PHOTINUS Studio, a media art collective and group which is based in Kyiv, and which they are part of since some years. And of course the PHOTINUS Studio is now under this terrible conditions of war, was forced to reinvent itself and to engage also with new practices. And I think this will be a main part of the talk of Dima and Alex. Also, of course, they will talk about their own media artistic work, and which they have been developing in various residencies in different European cities since 2022. And following their lecture, a performance and a screening, of course, we will have time for a Q&A in a very intimate form here. A few words about Oleksandr. Oleksandr was born in 1996 in Kharkiv, in the east of Ukraine, and he's a media artist and sound artist, and his practices have closely connected with the latest technologies, various fields of science, and such as microbiology, biohacking, and quantum physics. He studied in Kharkiv at the Kharkiv Art College, and this is very interesting, in painting, so not in media art, but in painting, and came, let's say, via different stops also in the commercial field. He joined then in 2019 the PHOTINUS Studio and embarked since then in media art. Since then also he was nominated as an artist for several prizes like the Tentiuk Art Prize. He worked as a curator, as a mediator for media art, as a lecturer, and lately, of course, also a lot as an activist, or as he calls it, as an ambassador for Ukrainian art. Dmytro was born a year later, 1997, in Kyiv, and is a multidisciplinary artist, musician, and designer, and also, or since 2020, member of or aligned with the PHOTINUS Studio. And he founded also the experimental electronic band Media Club in the same year, which we will also see more about later on. He studied or graduated from the National Academy of Fine Arts and Architecture in Kyiv, and is also there currently postgraduate student for and doing his PhD on media art and art theory, especially with a focus on Ukraine. And now lately he told us that his university, or the academy, was hit yesterday, I think, or the day before yesterday, by a Russian missile, and was partly destroyed. I think this also makes clear, or made clear again for me, and about what we are talking and what's the background your practice is also based on. So now enough introduction. I hand over to you.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for introducing us and for welcoming us here in general. It's a pleasure to present us, ourselves, and our collective that couldn't present itself for now, being involved into all of the situation in Ukraine, into the current war and invasion. So like it's our role, Maya and Dima, to do it in different ways and different parts of the Europe as we are doing it now. My name is Alex, and we're gonna start our short introduction to Ukrainian media art. Since the early beginning, we will go back for 10-15 years, and we're gonna show you how all of this is kind of like started to grow, and maybe, yeah, to at least shows us basic mood of Ukrainian media art and like how it's grow up and where we get our inspiration for our practices. So yeah, let's start. And for sure, all of the Ukrainian media art and art in general is based on a Ukrainian way of communication, social environment, which is in Ukraine very horizontal, and it's totally based on a unstable and unpredictable social and political life. So like we named our presentation as a kind of like unstable art, because it's maybe something unique that we also found through this kind of like research of the background and history of Ukrainian media art, and we found the slogan like as unstable art that we gonna try to explain you what is specification of it. So, and we're gonna start from explain a bit all of these political statements that Ukraine passed by, because it's had a very huge impact on art, on social interaction of people, and make it more horizontal. So like Ukraine reaches independence in '91. That is like totally like pursued the society for different changes, making like different horizontal environments, collectives, and so on. Yeah, so like now I will shortly will tell about all of the important movements and important things that happened in Ukraine for this more than 20 years. It's like our Orange Revolution, where we decided to choose not pro-Russian candidate on president elections, and like very pro-Ukrainian, which just gave us a bit of an understanding that we are independent nation. And there at that time is also lots of collectives and social movements grow up. Even like my old artist friends, who's much older than me, they were involved into this, like they were there as active participants. So yeah, and then we had like our Revolution and Dignity in 2014, where we kicked out our president who wanted to be be with Russia. He was really totally pro-Russian. So we kicked him out because we decided to choose our direction to Europe. And the society was totally unagree with the state of politics for that moment, because it began from the our kind of government killed the students on a protest, and then all of this movement began to grow up very fast, and then lots of people was on the streets fighting with special forces and police for our freedom. So yeah, and it's kind of like not that big distance in between all of these events in a scale of Ukrainian independence. Yeah, and then we had like invasion of Crimea right after, and then invasion of Donetsk and Lugansk. That is now we know as this LNR and DNR areas. Yep. So, and about horizontal environments that I mentioned, that through all of these events and circumstances and sequences, we build like very powerful system of environments that could tell about themselves on a governmental level. And one of the very good examples of it is our protest of miners in Ukraine, which in 90s they came from Donetsk to Kyiv. It's like more than 500 kilometers. Like hundreds of miners decided to protest for their rights, for their salary, for they make this horizontal environment community that is like came to Kyiv and asked for equal rights and for the good like yeah for better environment for themselves. So yeah, it's one of the really great examples. It's like it was shown in a international news for that moment because it was a really huge movement. Like they walked for many days, like from one city to another one, which is like more than 500 kilometers. It's really impressive. So yeah, and then yeah, and then we're gonna start talking about first collectives and groups who start doing new media art in Ukraine. And this is a first collective that start to work with net art in Ukraine. It's collective from two people. They were based in Lviv and Kharkiv, and then they worked in different cities in Ukraine. Yeah, the name of this group is Akovido. But after 2000, they moved to Europe and they started to exhibit their works and live in Netherlands and Germany. And one of their works, which is about communication in a city, is presented at V2 and also kept in archive of V2 in Rotterdam. This is kind of like interesting work, but the interesting point of this collective that now it's very hard to find this documentation of their works because all of their works were made in Flash, and they told it since the beginning. They're kind of like a statement, artistic statement, was that our practice is quite unstable in a way that we don't know if our works would be accessible in the nearest future, because it was known that internet is a super fast growing environment and nobody knows if the technologies that you are using now would be available in a few years. So yeah, and yeah, this is like screenshots from the work from the archive at V2. Yeah. They mostly worked with 2D graphics and flat environments. Yeah. So next is a collective, but also like they worked as an independent artist. It's Oleksandr Hnilitsky and Ksenia Zayts. Who worked as a couple. They had like bunch of works together, but also separately. Hnilitsky is a very important personality in Ukrainian media art because he started as a painter. He did like a different things in the field, and then he switched to video. They did like lots of animation things in a different techniques, like using different devices as like Fennec scopes and different other custom devices for animation. So their practice is a very important part of Ukrainian media art because other younger artists grow up on the knowledge that they left in Ukraine. Yep, because then they went out also. Then they left Ukraine and lived in Europe. Then it's another collective named Kvitnu, which is more about music and sound art, and they wrote the very important art scene in case of like audiovisual performances, sound artist that is like being part of their festivals. Then they growed up and made their own events, like who was at the beginning part of events that this collective organized. Now they're based in Berlin, so maybe somebody of you heard about Kvitno, I don't know. The nickname of the artist is like Kotra and Zavoloka. Yep. So we also found the statement, the Ukrainian media art as a counterpunct. This specific point where in Ukraine we didn't have and still don't have like support from government, support from big institutions. So especially in tents, artists needed to collaborate and create the local initiatives by themselves. And as I told previously, we have like such a powerful self-made collectives that is like they know that nobody will help you, so you need to organize people around you by yourself. You need to organize events if you want by yourself without any resources, and even sometimes you don't know if this place would be available tomorrow, or like something could happen with it, because you don't have a longer term strategy in Ukraine. Nobody knows what's going to happen in politics and so on, because yeah. In this case, it's about this dynamic that was specifically built these environments and collectives that we are now talking about. And then coming closer a bit to the PHOTINUS, we're gonna tell about how PHOTINUS grew up, talking about their founders. And founders of PHOTINUS, it's 4 people. It's, yeah, here you could see 3 of them, and in the previous shot, yeah, here is like Georgiy Potopalskiy, like just a few words about him, because he was a part of Kvitno as an artist, as an like he performed a lot on their festivals, and then he made different venues by himself, like a bit later, because when Kvitno left and went to build their works in Berlin, Georgiy decided to build the places by himself. So he built different venues in a scale of 10 years before he also like joined PHOTINUS and became a important part of it. And shortly, Georgiy is he grew up and he born in Moscow and grew up there, but then he ran away from Moscow because he had a he was an activist, and then he just he kind of like was pursued to move out, so he destroyed his Russian documents and moved to Ukraine, to Kyiv, and started to be actively involved in all of the processes in Ukrainian politics and in Ukrainian life. So, and then he built like few venues, like F-Year is one of his earlier venues, and Contrapunkt is a later venues that Georgiy built for inviting like foreigners, foreign artists, and also you build like Ukrainian scene. And then it's like other co-founders of PHOTINUS. It's Max Robotov, who's in the middle in this photo, Ivan Svitlychnyi, who's on the right, and Liera Polianskova. We see her here from the back, but later we will show some other photos of her. So, yep, maybe previous slide, because I wanna, finish about them. All of them came from Kharkiv. They worked in Kharkiv, in the eastern city where I also born and lived. Ivan, for example, studied together, studied at the same academy as I studied, as a sculptor. So like all of them had like a different education. Like Max studied as a airplane builder in the university, and Liera as a theater critic. So yeah, and then they started to build this environment together in Kharkiv, making like a different venues, that some of these venues not exist already, and even for the moment when they were in Kharkiv, one of the venues that they built was just caught by government, because for that moment our government was as mafia, like pro-Russian mafia, that caught this place, and then guys used to move to Kyiv and build their practices and venues and new collective there. And then they also built a very interesting environment that is also in a very nice way showing these conditions in Ukraine that you don't really know how to make a safe place for yourself. It's kind of like some metaphors that we found for the place that they built. It's like a virtual gallery named Shuklada. Shuklada, I think in German you have a word which is super similar for Shuklada. It's like a shell where you could hide everything. Because, yeah, I just know that we took this word, like, yeah, it's... okay. Shuklada is the name of this virtual gallery, which is showing that you need to always keep all of your art and exhibitions and ideas and thoughts inside of a small, tiny, portable box. And this is kind of like a narrative that we still have here, and like the box that we're going to perform with later, also showing these conditions of used to be portable and mobile. So they did like a lot of exhibitions in this virtual venues that is at some point became much more interesting than more physical venues, because they invited like different curators and artists from different fields. That is maybe one of the interesting parts of PHOTINUS and founders of PHOTINUS. They try to connect very different bubbles of art environments in Ukraine. That is like a question of your ego or points of interest. So like I'm so proud of our founders of our community, because they really did a lot in the way of like connecting people in between each other. So like their exhibitions in Shuklada is a very good example of it. Yep. And a part of PHOTINUS, Max and Liera, like here we could see Liera, they had a collective and still have this collective named Sweeter Art Group, which is mostly based on sound. It's also a point that we could draw through the time that at the beginning artists were mostly based on visuals, on visual art, and if we are talking about PHOTINUS founders of PHOTINUS, they're mostly based on sound practices. And Max and Liera, they started to work as a collective, as a musician group. They started to make the performances and concerts in Kharkiv and then in Kyiv. And these performances at the beginning were looked like a basic rock group, and then more and more and more changed into some performative practices and life involving the audience. So here is also a screenshot where they made a performance together with another very well-known artist who working with the paintings, who did like all of the visuals for their performance. So like they're always connected, super different people in between. Yep. Then the next is like one of the quite important exhibitions in Shuklada that we did at the beginning of COVID with the work of Alexei Sai. Okay, like who is also living in a separate bubble in the Ukrainian art world, but still guys connected him because his specific practice that he is doing like a very big paintings, like he printing his works, doing it in an Excel sheet. So like he could spend like bunch of months or maybe even a year for made a one work in Excel sheet and then print it on a very huge scale. So it's like very deep and interesting works that in COVID time Shuklada made an exhibition with works of Losha and it was also not just a video, it was interactive 3060 environment that founders of PHOTINUS together with some shots from making of, kind of like from this work. It's like these tubes that Losha made specifically with his works, and sound also was made by him. So it was like our first experimental practice at the COVID time that we did as a collective. So it's just a basic overview of different things that were. It's super short, and it's really hard to fit all of the events that happened in Ukrainian media art in this small scale. But I at least tried to do this to give you a bit of a emotional understanding and in general some environmental feeling from it, that it was super different, sometimes very unstable, because all of these venues changed like every 2-3 years, and collectives, because you couldn't really receive support from government, for example, that you would know that for 10 years you could produce your venue, produce your practice there, and like invite artists, whatever. So the next chapter, we named it like Product of Instability. This is a PHOTINUS studio, as we name it. And here is a photo, for example, right before the invasion started. It's all of us, with also a bunch of different curators and artists, and also probably here is some curators who presented Ukrainian art in a different venues all around the Europe, different like contemporary art, and like it's, as I said, something that founders of PHOTINUS did. It's like they collected a bunch of super different people, and here is like we celebrated the birthday of Max, and he is here because Max is one of the core person in PHOTINUS studio, and then later we will tell about current situation of PHOTINUS and where is Max and so on. But yeah, so it's like was his birthday where we collect, where it was all of us. Okay, and talking about products of instability, we also want to refer to some works that we did before the invasion as a PHOTINUS, as a collective. And at the beginning, when PHOTINUS decided that they want to build the environments around themselves, before that, they were just 4 of them. It's like Max, Liera, Vanya, and Gosha. And here is one of the very interesting and specific works that is also talking and trying to reflect on a way of how Ukrainian media artists produced, what the way of instability we have, because this work is named Verbatics, made by Liera, Vanya, and Max, which is a very complicated work. Maybe I even couldn't express even a part of this work, but for me, I understood it as a sponge, as an environment, because this is a work which is used to collect the different data from the environment, and it was exhibited in the different venues in Europe. So it collects the environment, like different data that guys decide to choose, like it could be textures, it could be walls, it could be plan of the building, it could be like voices. Sometimes they played a performance and recorded different parts of it, and then they collect it inside of the Verbatics, and then in every new place and venue, they collect a new data which is layered on top of previous data that was already collected. So it's like very incredible and interesting experience. It is like I couldn't even explain as deep as it is. but it's also all of the questions about instability and portability of producing media art in Ukraine and art in general is kind of like could be seen in all of these practices and works. And yeah, then it's work of yeah, it's just a bunch of photos from different works that PHOTINUS, at the early stage of PHOTINUS, like just 4 of them did. This work is, for example, is very interesting because they tried to do it like almost analog without any digital implementations, and now it's kind of like a popular topic to make a low tech and not use some kind of like a complicated technologies which used a lot of electricity, like powerful video cards and so on. And it's happened a bit right after they were kicked out from the space in Kharkiv, so they realized that you need to be flexible even in a case of like instruments that you are using in your practice and how your practice is built, like how your mindset through the instruments that you are using is constructed. So it's like all of this processes where they come in one after another. So like I really like this work. Yep. Next. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the performances that guys did. I don't really. Yeah, hard to translate the name of it. But the idea of the performance that to all of the objects there was connected like a sensors that when you performing, doing something, each of the objects has a different sounds. So it's like one of the very interesting live actions, which is a bit surrealistic that guys did in their practice. So I think we could just go ahead. Here's a shot from the work of Georgiy Potopalskiy, that mostly working with procedural generated sound and visuals in Maximus P jitter for more than 15 years. And yeah, I think we'll just go ahead. Also shortly, I want to say about influence of PHOTINUS, because, for example, Ivan Svitlychnyi was exhibited in the most popular and biggest venues in Ukraine for contemporary art. Like here is the work from Tentiuk Art Center. He was exhibited there four times. And they always were in collaboration and some connections with different other bubbles from art world. So they were on the way to build these stronger networks that we later will explain the next stage. So yeah, and this is a very complicated and interesting work that I named Script, because it has like many stages, and this work is just the first stage, which is like a preparation for the performance that need to come after. And here is just a documentation, like a real-time processing and documentation of data, like microscopes that is in real-time capturing some microstructures and processing it through the touch designer. Also, one of the main core parts of this work is like processing the data that is circulating all around the world, and like to check the delays and like other values of data that is passing by to kind of feel it, and then he documented it that you could see. So yeah, and all of this data needed to be a part of the performance that didn't happen because he planned to do it, I think, in a period when the invasion started, and it's need to be kind of like part of the theater performance, which you look through the microscope. So yeah. Yeah, it's a few pictures from the work Robotics that we showed earlier. So yeah, and okay, we kind of like maybe quite roughly, but explain you how PHOTINUS were constructed when it was just 4 people, and before coming to the next stage of a PHOTINUS at a bigger structure and its influence on the different systems and how this organism started to work, we will introduce ourselves a bit. Then you could maybe better understand points of view and what we are here. Like sometimes it's better to understand the speaker. So yeah, my name is Oleksandr. I graduated as a painter. I studied like almost 8 years as a painter, social realistic paintings in Kyiv, because it was no other way to study any other types of contemporary art there, mostly. And then I started to try to work in industry as a, yeah, I continue. Okay. Yep. So, and after a while, I found ways to work with new media and other kind of like instruments, interactive, real-time structures and tools. So, yeah, okay, because I wanted also to mention that I came to my new media art practices through animation, because I was tired to make like animation on a basis as it was like in all of the studios, and still it is, and I wanted to make it more dynamic, because I also made some animation movies that I presented. But then I was tired of it and I wanted to find new tools, and then I started to produce works which is like generated in real time, some storytellings that is generated in real time, use different tools like AI and so on. Here's one of my first works in quite a big venues in Ukraine, where his other works also was presented. Yep. We were there together, and this work is about different dimensions of media artwork, because I tried to reflect on the documentation of media artworks. It was like a different screens, and one of the screens is showing like all of the values of your computer, like what is changing, because basically main screen, it's like a simulation in this work that simulated like a very complicated environment with the creatures and their behaviors that is changing, was changing in real time, that is then changing the form, like this card form from fabrics that I did, and you could be also part of it through the tubes. You could be a character there. So it's like also my point to try to connect physical and digital, and to feel digital through reflecting on how much power and energy your computer needs, how it's forced itself to give you like all of these simulations and graphic and so on, and like, yeah, I tried to reflect on it. So yeah, then it's kind of my first performance in Cinema Center in Ukraine. That was my reflection on real-time storytelling, where I produced kind of like a real-time comics with other members of PHOTINUS that helped me a lot. And Max made a sound for me that was surprising for me at that moment. And yeah, so it's like real-time storytelling, real-time comics that I did based on the sound that was produced by Max. Yeah.
Explain some of the materials you are using.
Materials in this work?
Yes.
In this work, it was just 4 projectors that is connected into one long wall, projection wall. And then we used like a bunch of different devices, like on that photos, maybe barely. We could see the setup because it was like quite complicated. And we used like different musical instruments for it, because music then produced the visuals. Music produced scenarios, windows, like these shots, and all of the interaction and scenarios were based on music. Also, like I used different AI to make behavior for creatures that was exist there. So I used like very early stage AI systems for that moment, like chatbots and so on. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, later, if you will have some questions, because maybe now it's a bit rough, but we need to feed on some amount of time, and then I will just give a micro to Dima. He will explain about his works.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, I want to say a few words about my beginning in my media arts. Yeah, so I'm graduated from the National Academy of Fine Arts and Architecture from easel graphic department, and my first, like my bachelor diploma, looks like that and have a name as through the prism of the street, if I'm correct. So yeah, it was my first experiment with combining of like analog and digital stuff that can be see. I work on this project for a year and a half and made more than 100 of small digital collages of the streets in Kyiv and Berlin, and in the end I'm combining it and made like a collage with step screened monotype, if you know the printing technique, and in the end yeah, we can see like some screenshots from this step animation, and the topic of the work it's how the noises, advertisement, and trash on the street affect with us and with the environment. So the next one, it's my master diploma that I mostly work with. With Touch Designer as a programming environment, and I focused on levels of perception and tried to show three of them: the physical, the emotional, and the environment stage, like layers. To show you my autoportrait in this case. Then this is the last work that I made before the war, called Album, Winter in Karpaty, the Transcarpathian region, if you know. So the main idea was to take album of the photos that I made during the residency in Karpaty, and give this album to the algorithm that could make like a video and converted it to the notes for the sound. Yes, the next one. Yeah, it's some photos from my performance in Dovzhenka Center in Kyiv, that called Kernel Task, and the main idea it was like I used the CPU usage in a computer to break it down, so it was a super short but super interesting performance. Yeah. And also, I'm a part of the music collective called Media Club, and you could see old, not so old, but old photos from one of the first performance in Kyiv. And on the beginning of our practice, we mostly work with the sound, but also always have some friends from our collective PHOTINUS studio who could make a visual, and the main idea of Media Club is like a free space where anybody from basically PHOTINUS could join us and play and make some experiments with sound and visual. Yeah, this is how it looks before the invasion, and now let's say a few words about PHOTINUS School.
Okay. Yep. So a few words about this new stage of the PHOTINUS when we became a part of it. And PHOTINUS is quite a unique horizontal structure, because when I was invited to be part of the PHOTINUS, I was invited at the same time as a student, because I wanted to learn about Max MSP, Touch Designer, about programming, but at the same time as a teacher, because I already know the things about animation history, 3D and simulation. So like I was invited at the same time in two roles. So it's like all of us were there in two roles at the same time. So PHOTINUS School, it's our second stage where we build in the environment of somebody who's sharing our values, and we teaching each other, we learn from each other, and we building new things together with all of the participants, because it's like people from a super different places with a different knowledge who was a part of the PHOTINUS and still part of it. So like one of our very important works that we did at the beginning of COVID, it's a web performance where all of us were connected in a digital environment that we built, where we wanted to reflect on a way of collaboration and communication in the COVID time. So we built an environment where you could use your daily routine tool, like Dima used DJ software and hardware to control the characters in a virtual environment where each of us was organs. We decided to be organs that could be come together and be one creature in the end. We took a concept of the game Katamari, if somebody heard it, when you roll and collect everything around and becoming very big. So we wanted to find this expression of like be together, because at the COVID you couldn't be, and you super annoyed by Zoom and other virtual spaces that was exist, like hundreds of them. So all of us were, somebody controlled his character by neural networks that is tracking his face, or somebody controlled his character by text. So we kind of like made this interpretation mechanisms for each of the participants. And the interesting thing that all of us were learned through this. All of us learned how to build the 3D models, how to animate them, how to move them in game engines, how to make this interpretation of data from one software to another, and it's through the performance that in the end we perform in one of the Polish venues. Yep, that was kind of a big thing for us at the beginning, even like in the case of like how to organize this huge amount of people in a very complicated performative practice. This performance was 8 hours long. Even like to find each other's in the space was quite long, because it was really big. We took a map of Ukraine and we needed to find each other at the beginning of the performance. We went out from our rooms, kind of, that we also made a photogrammetry of them, and it was quite interesting, even like in case of different processes of stages of the works. Another thing that we as a PHOTINUS did, you wanna? It's like our collective work, which is maybe looked like as a creature or as a skeleton in a Dovzhenka Center, which is like cinema center that we already mentioned many times and thank them a lot. We really hope that we could see such places like this that is very important in the scale of Ukraine, because Dovzhenka Cinema Center is the main archive of movies and cartoons of Ukraine since like for more than 100 years. So like this work that we made is like a collective work and reflection on also quite hard to explain the main idea of it, because it was different works of separately works of all of the yeah, you could say.
Yeah, sorry. The main idea it was to create like a one organism and add some artwork as organs. I don't know if it's correct. And yeah, like we have artworks as a neural net, like not like brain nets. Yeah, in this work. So.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe better to say shortly than long and incorrect a bit, but yeah. So it's like our part of our practice together when we in a different ways we collected our separate practices because all of us worked in different ways. I'm working with simulations and kind of game environments. Dima is working with sound and other complicated systems, and all of us is like sometimes when you collect all of these knowledges together into one work, it could be like a very interesting experience mixing it together. And then important thing also to say is that a part of the PHOTINUS school we had like a collaboration in a Kyiv Academy of Media Arts where Max was a leader of this course of new media that he proposed, and we were their teachers, and it was like Dima was a student there and then he became a part of PHOTINUS. So it's like a way where you're passing by as a student in this academy and you're becoming a part of our environment where you involved you to our projects, help us, and then at some moment you could be part of PHOTINUS in a way. So it's interesting way how PHOTINUS is build this environment for other people to involve them into this magical world. I think like yeah, for me it was very magical when I just came there. So and the last point is our experience when the invasion started. So here you could see Max, like before that we saw him on the photos like together with us or like as a teacher or leader on a course of new media art. So we had a very huge plans of things that we wanted to do, and like all of the influence of PHOTINUS at that moment and things that we did like was very big. We worked like 24 hours a day without any rest to do things that we were doing for all of that years. And since the beginning of the invasion, Max joined like military forces. First it was like territory defense and then military forces when you sign in a contract. So yeah, and all of us, we started volunteering also for the Max Brigade. There is also still actual and still donating to his brigade is quite important. Then we also have a photo of Liera with Zelensky and Boris Johnson. That was like, yeah, I don't know what to say about this, but yeah, it was like...
No. It's important because Liera bought these two...
yeah, two figures.
Two...
Ceramic figures.
Yes, two roosters. As a gift for our friends from Poland, who is curators, but when she bought it and coming back to home, she just randomly passed by the lot of guards and. Yeah, and decide to gift it to the...
Also like, why especially this animal? Because the same ceramic figure was, we had like a photo at the beginning of the invasion of the destroyed building, and where is a shell with the same ceramic thing was saved. So it's like was a symbol of, kind of symbol of power, that we could stay alive, that we could fight for freedom and so on. Like, so especially this gift was very meaningful in a way. Yeah, then it's kind of like Danya. I want to say a few words about him because he was a creator of this box, main programmer, and he became a part.
In the center.
Yeah, Danny is. Sorry. Yeah, Danny is in the center. He was volunteering since the beginning of the invasion. Yeah, he's a very knowledgeable and cool person. So yeah, and just I wanted to say that he was a part of this work. Then also previous one, it's like in. No, I mean this one. It's in Chicago. We did like some collaborations. It's already after the invasion started. We did a collaboration with Foreign Affairs Ministry in Ukraine and did like some works all around the world. Like together with them, we did like projection mapping in Chicago on their embassy. On the Ukrainian embassy in Chicago. And it's a work named Shedrak. Shedrak is the name of this song that was produced. Yeah, so it's like Ukrainian song that you maybe heard in a Home Alone movie, because lots of people think that it's American song, like Carl was about, I think, yeah, the name of it. It's like English American adaptation of original one that was produced by Ukrainian collective. So like, yeah, and this and a composer, yeah, Ukrainian composer. So like, it was visuals that we made for this sound. And then it was one of the important works after the invasion started, when Max, already being kind of like an army, he performed his piece with Ivan together about our situation with the light, because lots of cities, especially almost a year at the beginning, was out of electricity. So like they showed the performance with the power banks, which is producing the sound based on amount of light on it. So it's kind of like an idea that we need to move forward and think about like different smart solutions, how we could work with sound, how we could produce it in an economic way, like not use that much energy as we used before. Here is Georgiy, who made his performances also at the same venue. Then it's a very interesting work of Ivan Svitlychnyi that he did at the beginning of the invasion, named Donate. It's also about light, about sustainability and ecological disasters that we have, because here is like he made a web server where you could donate light. So like the main idea of the work is that you could donate light, and if you donate in your light, so this structure, like a bench, receiving this light and showing you how much light donation you have. So like it's kind of nice symbol at the beginning when all of the people were out of the light, and we didn't even know if it will be better. So we needed to produce different solutions in a case of the situation. And still right now, like Kharkiv is out of light. It's like my friends who just wanted to did a exhibition in Kharkiv right now in my home city. They're out of light, sitting in a shelter for more than a week. So it's like situations that are still ongoing, and still the question is, this is a work of my best friend Evgeny Orlov, who is a member of PHOTINUS, and now he is directly connected to the military too. But the thing that is also a point that I wanted to say, that first year since the beginning of the invasion, almost all of the members of PHOTINUS tried to export our art and our ideas and thoughts, make discussions abroad. Like Zhenya made his performances and works abroad. He was a resident in Vienna in I forgot the name of the venue, but yeah, and all of different other places, also in Berlin. So this work of him, named Budapest Hambit, he made a comparison of this movement in chess with the document that was signed in Ukraine with US and European countries, that we are, as a Ukraine, as a third largest country in nuclear power, that we giving all of these nuclear weapons and all our other parts of weapons to Russia. And we signed in the document that this country is gonna protect us. And he is reflecting here that this document, nothing. It's like nothing since the beginning of the first invasion of Russia that they did like more than 10 years ago. So in this case, it's kind of meaningful and interesting performance. I really like it because here you have these figures, and he split the text of the of this document in a small pieces and made a poems, like a small poem. So and each figure, it's a small poem made from this document. It's a bit surrealistic, abstract, and then you play, and when you lose, you need to read a part of the document. So this is a performance that he performed, and then after a year, it's an important point that I wanted to say, that only me, Dima, and Liera is still available to share the knowledge of PHOTINUS after a year, and nobody knows what is going to be soon. So every such a moment of expression, sharing, quite important for us. Yeah, next is, okay, it's my work that I did in a Tentiuk Center about, I started to think a lot about decentralization, about privacy, and this work is kind of a lot about it. It's work where I'm collecting the data from the visitors, like fingerprints, eye scans, their voices, and then I were reflecting on like in which way we could use the personal data a part of the capitalistic vision of it, like in a capitalistic bubble that we use it just on the purpose of selling things, selling information, constructing some behavior for the groups of people. So then I build a system which is interpreting the data into the digital creatures in the digital environment. And this work is a bit continuation of my another work that I did at the beginning of the invasion, which was performed also in Antwerp when I just left Ukraine. So yes, this work is about constructing environments from personal data, and then it's needed to be converted into the behavior of cells. Ideally, I found a language that was produced by MIT students, like named Sirous, that is give you a possibility to convert digital systems and interactions into the DNA and behavior of cells in a way. So yeah, then another work that I did, it's about collecting the data from the bombings in the biggest cities in Ukraine. It's kind of one of the important branches of Ukrainian art in general, that lots of artists started to reflect on the Russian murders in Ukraine, Russian destruction from Russians in Ukraine in a different ways. So I decided to collect this data and translate it into the MIDI notes, and made a composition from the MIDI notes that is based on the bombings by day. So for me, it was also like an archiving in general, this event. In a Google Sheet, so like I still have it, like which is becoming bigger and bigger. So this composition is unended for now. Yeah, and it was presented in VR in Basis in Frankfurt almost 2 years ago. So this was that work that I told where I wanted to convert the expressions from people into the digital natural creatures, because I wanted to find a way how to build a communication, because I saw a very big gap in our point of view and a vision of reality with the people around me. Because first venue that I was proposed to join as a resident, it was like in Antwerp at Morpho. And I realized that the people around me totally don't understand me, and words is not an instrument that I could use. So like I used and I built a digital environment like web, because it's something that I'm working with, and a mobile application through which you could construct your digital behavior and digital creatures that then interact with each other and compile in the whole environment. And then this environment is building some forms that then I printed them as like a symbol of such different types of interaction. Yeah. Then Dima will tell a bit about his practices since the beginning of the invasion.
Yeah, a few words about how the visual work target that I made maybe in April of 2022, and it's work based on an archive that I find in my phone from the first day of the invasion. it was images, videos, and audio recordings. And I take one of the recording that I made on a gas station when I found the gas first time since the 5 a.m. 24 February. And when I hear the sound of the full gas tank, I decided to record it, and it's just 40 seconds. It's a time when the tank was from empty to full. Yeah, so it's one of the work. The second work that we made together with Alex and Daniil in Hollbrunn, Austria. You could say a few words.
Okay. Yeah. It was also first time when Danya, whom we showed in some previous photos, who built this box. He was first moved out from Ukraine because we made a special documents for him to bring him out, especially for this residency. And yeah, this work is about chaotic systems and chaotic structures that we wanted to deeply understand for ourselves. So like as a philosophical statement, like as any other points. So yeah, it's like about chaotic structures and their way of work, how they are working, how they could be broken, how they are changing. So then we build these devices to generate different chaotic structures by ourselves using Touch Designer and these small specific devices, which is also a point, because we realize that we need to build, if we want to build some installation or some works, we need to make it super portable and basically small. So like this works is also here with us because we're always moving with all of our things that we did. Yeah, so this is it shortly about this work, which was very nice to work on. Yeah, this is like Okay, I could tell because it's one of the also very important points that Dima achieved. He started to work even before the invasion with one of the coolest and very experimental operas in Ukraine, which has like a bunch of different super interesting solutions in case of even contemporary opera. And then after the invasion started, they were invited to different venues all around the world. So
the opera called Chernobyl-Dorf, archaeological opera, and we made it in 2020 during the COVID time, and of course before the invasion we had like a plan for the tour to Europe in 2022, I'm really happy to say that we did it with help of Ministry of Culture, of course, with help with a lot of institutions in Europe and in Ukraine, yeah, it's also an important part to show some cool pieces of Ukrainian culture in Europe. Like Alex talked about the different other performance called Lullaby for Mariupol that we create with Opera Aperta team, which is also create the Chernobyl-Dorf opera, and we created in early 2022 when Mariupol still was occupied, not. It's important. Well, yeah, and we showed this performance at many venues and also at Ars Electronica in 2022. Yeah. and few words about the transformation of Media Club after the invasion. We had a situation, and still have, that all of our members now located in different countries and cities, and we think a lot how we can continue our practice together, and we create the virtual space, virtual server for us, and it gives us the opportunity to give us the opportunity to perform together online and offline. So it's super important that we all can perform in real time, online and offline, in many venues. We already did like a twin performance in Kyiv, in National Museum, and in Berlin, in the AD Gallery. So yeah, it's kind of for me, it's one of the most important thing that we did, that we find the solution how continue to perform together, and also the important point that Max, who is serving in army now, also could join us. So it was one of the important point too, to create this solution. We want to show you a short, like one pieces of documentation of our performance that we made for a New Year festival in New York that happened in Friedman Gallery. So thank you, and let's see. And after that, we want to play maybe a short audiovisual performance for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Наказую вам на рахунок повернутися до виконання своїх посадових обов'язків, що стосується консультації до іншого керівництва. Рахую. 1, 2, 3. Наступ на обал продовжується з рішучістю та напором. Підготуйтесь до виконання завдання. Наказую через хвилину почати послідовно зменшувати дії. Поки наша присутність стане повністю невидима.
thank you both very much for this performance, the concert, and also the introduction into the let's say current state of the media art in the Ukraine, Photinus especially, but also to give us an overview about the history of media art, which is probably for most of us not known yet, and I have the feeling that there's still so much to discover and to learn about. Well, I also now understand what you meant when we talked about, let's say, portable installations or pocket installations, which is probably exactly this, what you are mentioning. So this was built just recently.
Is it? Oh yeah, yeah. That we built in a first prototype in a residency in Austria that we were together with Dania, and yeah, and for sure it's just our example and our personal experience of making this portable and mobile works, especially having this problematics with our collective, with the people who couldn't be already involved into process. So we need to think about these new stages of, and for sure at the beginning of invasion, when you see that everything is destroying, the risk that your house, everything that you're keeping for years could be destroyed in seconds. It's bringing you to the point that you need to be more kind of flexible and sustainable in a new way. So yeah, at least for me, for us, for that moment, it brings us to the point to make small and portable works. And also in case that our experience is that when we went out from Ukraine, we started to travel from venue to venue because it was hard to imagine the life in another way, just to continue living a daily basis. And I don't know, and for us, having no really such a stable point or house or whatever where we could put all of our things, as in the atelier in Photinus, we needed to build a portable solutions in a way.
Well, I just remember when we were doing here an exhibition a year ago with also Alina and Anna. This was very much about this in-between situation. Let's say, being mentally still very much connected or on-site, but also living abroad and being here in Germany. And you just mentioned, I mean, you are continuously on the move, you could say, and going from one spot to the other. I mean, of course, a year ago it was very much this, also still the shock of the invasion and the shock of this what you all went through. Can you get, let's say, is it a routine now to live like this, or is it, I mean, also as an artist, you probably, I mean, you have this experience from before from going from residency to residency, but maybe just tell us a little bit about your, the practice you had in the past, and maybe also where you're now going to, because the residency is ending now also here at ZKM.
The funny thing, I haven't got to residencies abroad before the invasion started, and the thing that, for example, in my case, the guys from Photinus, Liera, pushed me to send some applications or something right before the invasion. That's why I was proposed to go to Antwerp right after the invasion started. I was in an underground and I received these messages to be part of the residency. So before I hadn't got this experience, and I really wanted to live in Ukraine and be part of, because we were in the process of building something really huge that is hard to imagine here, because here we still as strangers. But the thing that I think we started to think about longer strategy in a way of interacting with institutions, with venues, with people through different things. And it's something that has changed for the year, because, yeah, all of these horrible things that is still going on, it's kind of becoming a horrible routine with which we need to working on in a progress, in a way of thinking about it, about all of the disasters all around the world, because like becoming a part of Europe now, living here, and like we need to think about this global problematics that is not touching only our country, but also kind of like put our problematic in case of the global one that we need to be aware of, because it's just rise up. It's nothing is saying us that all of this global crises, political crises in different countries gonna stop. So like I think it's a way of find a way together and being a part of it with our point of view and our such an experience to produce the solutions, because it's something that maybe art could do in a way of like short-term perspective, like try to imagine these solutions that could be realized soon, but still also a vision of art, because art is something that could create a bubble for you, and then it would be super hard and heartful to go out from it, as we are with PHOTINUS also was in such a bubble that we could build a really such a big and beautiful environment, but then other circumstances didn't give us even a chance.
Well, I think, Dima, it was also very impressive to see the musical performance you with Media Club, and also how connected you were, still being so much in diaspora and in many different locations. What would you say? I mean, gives media or media art you also the possibility of continuing under this situation? Because, I mean, as a painter, you probably are stuck much more in your atelier with the material, with physical.
Yeah, I think media art for us now, it's a tool. It's a tool, and of course, like, okay, we have like a Zoom calls of our community every Saturday, where we can discuss. But of course, it's too hard when you are in a different environments to find the time, and it's of course it's from the day to day. It's much harder to manage it for everyone. So I think for now, for me, basically, it's only one way how to manage this communication and how to save it. Yeah, for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Also. Really love one phrase, like also you said about painting, and the wife of Max, she's one of the greatest contemporary art painters and artist in general, who's now doing paintings in New York. She also went out to the invasion started, and producing Ukrainian culture and art in a way to share it all around. And the phrase that she said, it's like our maybe very important role is like to share as a proof of our existence around, like out of the Ukraine, because like before I think before 2014, not that many people know what is Ukraine is, what is it, that it's even a separate country and not part of Russia. And now we had this way that people give us a chance to listen us, to kind of like give us venues or like possibilities for limited time to be heard. And this kind of like a proof of existence, us as new media artists with our specific community, it's quite important, at least this, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this event also was kind of a proof of existence. It's recorded, it's being put online, and as you mentioned, I mean, it's so important also to share the stories, and what you said also about PHOTINUS. I mean, people are now fighting, people are now out of the arts partly, and but you are continuing also to keep the spirit of the group alive, and I wish you good luck also for the next steps of your career and artistic career, for the next residencies and the next cities to come, and hopefully soon, I mean, there will be a reunification in Kyiv in a peaceful time. So thank you very much. I mean, we will have the opportunity maybe for a Q&A also after the video stops, and thank you for listening, for being here tonight. Yeah, thank you both of us for sharing your insights.
Thank you very much. for inviting us here and giving us this chance to tell about Photinus and about kind of like our family. So yes, thank you very much.